Ahoy hoy humans. A little hungover today. Partied a bit. Um, thought we'd play a little. Thought we'd play a little pretend here this morning. Let's pretend that white people were the minority in the United States here, and it's the exact percentage that black people are. So let's just say white people are 13% of the population, and black people are whatever the white people are, like 50% of the population. And let's just say that white people, let's just reverse the statistics. All right, white people are committing the majority of crimes, but they're a minority of the people. Do you think that it would be the exact same numbers as far as police killing white people at a higher rate than black people if all the statistics were reversed? I say yes. I say you can't just look at population size and the amount of times that things go wrong in police and citizen interactions without taking into account the amount of interactions. The amount of time, okay, so the amount of interactions, right, divided by the amount of times things get fucked up. So if you do that, if you look at interactions, divide them by shit incidences, it's like the same. These guys do a good job of talking about how we're not asking the right questions. Sorry, I'm hungover. And we're not allowed to ask these questions because it's racist. Oh. You want to talk about how cops are racist and they kill more black people than white people undefensively. So it's fine to say that the cops are racist, but it's not okay to ask questions as to why these numbers are that way. Because asking questions is racist. Numbers and data are racist. Truth, test scores, crime rates, single motherhood, talking about any of these problems, it's racist. Everything is racist. Everything.
Yes. The other thing is how it gets narrated, how it gets constructed. I mean, race might have been a part of it, but it might have been 5% of it. But now it has become the entire thing. It's become a statement about the nature of race in America. And that's I think, a highly questionable, a very problematic move.
I think just a couple of things. We have to come back to the point that, I learned talking to you, which is that nationwide, there are white, usually guys, who are killed by the cops in very similar circumstances to these. And it's a long list. And in terms of the official numbers, black people are killed rather disproportionately, but actually it's not nearly as stark as people would suppose. White men are killed by the police under indefensible circumstances constantly in the United States, and
more white men than black men, for example.
Yeah, and so
absolutely more, but not relatively more.
Right. And so, for example, Philando Castile, I don't remember the names as well as I did 2 or 3 years ago, but there was a white version of Philando Castile, not in Minneapolis. But that sort of thing can happen to a white person too. It just doesn't make the news. I'm not aware of white versions of Arbery or Floyd in terms of exactly what happened to them. But then there's the second thing, which is that we're not supposed to ask something, and it's just asking, which is the reason that Minneapolis cops kill more black men than white, and apparently they do. There's a figure that has 13 in it. I forget whether it's 13 times more or something. There's some figure where yeah. So it doesn't happen to Nils Olson remotely as much. Is it because black people in Minneapolis, and wait for this, folks, I'm sorry, but we've been trained not to ask. Is it because black men in Minneapolis commit more crime? And if they do, it's not because there's something wrong with them. It's not to deny that slavery and Jim Crow happened. Maybe it's because of poverty. But is it that more black men...
You don't know that.
Well, I'm going to try to know it.
That's another one of those things that, you don't have a real factual knowledge of it, but it must be true. We know that the crime has to be caused by poverty. It can't be caused by depravity. It can't be caused by bad values, by inhumanity,
You're on your own
by stupidity, by craziness, by greed. Wait a minute. No. Could there not be a moral failing in a community? I'm asking a question. Can there not be evidence of a moral failing in a community which has a high crime rate? Must it be necessarily the consequences of poverty and privation? Come on. What kind of theory have we got of human behavior where it's this one-dimensional thing where economic circumstances determine everything and there's no room for character, values, and morality?
Oh, of course. But what is a moral failing? Where would that
a moral
come
failing
from?
is you have a wallet with money in it that I want, and I'm willing to put a pistol against your head, risking blowing your brains out in order to take it. That's a moral failing. A moral failing is because I want the popularity of my gang fellows, I'm willing to go up to a stranger and blow their brains out just to demonstrate that I'm willing to do it. Okay? That's a moral failing. A lack of the human empathy that would inhibit you from behaving in ways that are absolutely destructive of the lives of others. So, but that's a tangent. I forget what the main point was.
Well, I was just going to say that I would say that, yes, those are moral failings. I don't like that kind of
No. Your main point was, might not there be a higher rate of cop adverse action against citizens for blacks because there's more black crime? And you say that's a question that we're not supposed to ask, we're not supposed to say. But Heather McDonald has been asking that question and answering it in the affirmative for a long time. She's a journalist, not a social scientist, but she's a smart and well-informed journalist, and she has a point. The nature and frequency of the encounters between people and the police surely is connected to the likelihood that any one such encounter will escalate into violence. The frequency and the nature of the encounters.
All right, when I hear that one professor of sociology or whatever talk about moral failings, it reminded me of one of the Sam Harris Jordan Peterson debates, and it was a very interesting part of it. So Sam Harris, if you don't know him, is this guy who's like against religion because it's the cause of all the ills of the world, and if we didn't have religion, everything would be fine. We can have morality without religion. The guy's got about a fucking 160 IQ. All right, one of the smartest people possibly in the world. But you know how smart people can be dumb too, right? Jordan Peterson is also one of the smartest people in the world, 160 IQ, and he's a little more pro-religion. So what he says to Sam Harris is, he goes, most people aren't smart enough to sort out morality in a psychological, thought-based, morality from first principles. We obviously have to be good to each other, because if we're bad to each other, the economic system won't work, and then there won't be enough. How's it going? There won't be enough. Chaos will ensue, and it's obvious that morality is the correct decision. Well, and then Jordan Peterson goes I'm getting this wrong, but then Jordan Peterson's what if you're not smart enough? What if you're too dumb to come to morality that way? And he's like, what are you saying? People are stupid or whatever. He was saying, he got all defensive and was like, what do you mean? What do you mean people are stupid? He got all lefty liberal. And like Jordan Peterson backed off, but you know, he made a good point. And he shouldn't have backed off. He should have been like, no. Some people are too fucking dumb to come to these like obvious decisions that somebody with a 160 IQ comes to. Like sometimes you'll need like fire and damnation and you know, those types of like negative motivating factors. They need to like think they're going to be punished in the afterlife for what they do in this life, when in reality you're punished what you do in this life, right? So if you're a shitty person, you're really not going to make it very far. If you're like, you know, low-level thief, not organizing anything, not doing much of anything other than just breaking shit, like you're never going to be fucking rich. You know what I mean? You know, people aren't going to like hand you their money to invest it for them. They're not going to bring you in on business deals. Like people who are smart understand that you get your reward in this life for being good and working hard. Other people need to be fooled into thinking that it happens some mystical way, some karma way, some like, you know, when you die, you'll pay for all your sins way, right? Because, but really, all that religion stuff is trying to do is to get you to do the right thing in this life so that your community is stronger and you're stronger. You know, some people are too dumb to come to that decision logically, right? And to, you know, like hell on earth. Hell is on earth and heaven is on earth. Both heaven and hell are on earth, right? But some people aren't motivated by that. Some people need God above them, right? And so this destruction of morality and the falling apart of like the black community could have a lot to do with secularism. Huey.